Hey everyone! Welcome to Tales and Talks, where we climb the language ladder one step at a time. Why do I call it a ladder? Because, my friends, learning English is like that. You take it step by step, sometimes you slip, but hey, you keep climbing.
And what a climb we have planned today, Sophia. I'm Adrian, and I'm super excited to be here with all our wonderful listeners.
Today, we're diving into something we all need every single day: English greetings. You know, those little phrases that kick off every conversation.
Absolutely. Whether you're meeting a friend for coffee, starting a business meeting, or just passing someone on the street, knowing the right way to say hello can make all the difference.
And the best part? We're going to break it all down in our usual friendly, casual way. No pressure, no stress, just fun, practical English that you can use right away.
That's right. We'll be looking at everything from super casual "hey there" to more formal greetings. And trust me, by the end of this episode, you'll be greeting people like a native speaker.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's start climbing that language ladder together.
Let's kick things off with the basics. Those everyday greetings you'll hear all the time on the streets of any English-speaking country.
Oh yes, and you know what I love about casual greetings? They instantly set a friendly tone. Let's start with probably the most common one. Hey.
Simple but effective. Hey is super versatile. You can use it with pretty much anyone you're on friendly terms with.
Exactly. And you can jazz it up a bit by saying hey there, which is just a touch more warm and welcoming.
I use that one all the time. But here's something our listeners should know. Hey might be too casual for formal situations, like a job interview or when meeting your partner's parents for the first time.
Good point. In those cases, you might want to stick with a simple hi or hello. Speaking of which, when did what's up become such a popular greeting?
Oh, that's a fun one. What's up, or what's up, if you're being really casual, is such a classic American greeting. But here's the thing. It's not actually asking what's happening.
Right. When someone says, what's up, they're basically just saying hello. You can just respond with not much or all good. You don't need to give them a detailed report of your day.
And don't forget its cousin, what's new? Same idea. It's more of a greeting than an actual question.
I've noticed that a lot of our students get confused about when to use these casual greetings. Like, can you say, what's up to your professor?
Probably not the best idea. These casual greetings are perfect for friends, classmates, or colleagues you know well. But if you're in doubt, it's always safer to start more formal and then match the other person's level of casualness.
And remember, in English-speaking cultures, greetings are usually accompanied by a smile. It's part of the whole friendly vibe these casual phrases are meant to create. Now, let's talk about one of the most common greetings you'll hear. How's it going?
This is such a versatile phrase. It's like the perfect middle ground between casual and formal.
Absolutely. And what I love about how's it going is that it works in almost any situation. You can use it with friends, colleagues, even someone you've just met.
And you know what's interesting? Just like what's up, people aren't usually expecting a detailed answer. It's more of a conversation starter.
Right. The most common responses are things like, good thanks, or not bad, you.
Don't forget, can't complain. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, yes. And then there are all these variations like, how are you doing? Or, how are things?
Those are great alternatives. And let's talk about some real-life scenarios. Like, imagine you're grabbing coffee and you run into a coworker.
Perfect example. You might say, hey, Sarah, how's it going? And Sarah might respond with, pretty good. Just getting my morning coffee. You?
Exactly. And then you might follow up with something like, same here. Needed my caffeine fix.
You know what's interesting? The follow-up is often where people learning English get stuck. They know how to say good thanks, but then aren't sure what comes next.
That's so true. Here's a tip for our listeners. You can always add a small detail about your day after the initial response. Like, good thanks. Just getting ready for a busy day.
And don't forget that tone matters too. How's it going? Can sound completely different depending on how you say it.
Absolutely. If you say it with a rising, cheerful tone, it's a friendly greeting. But if you say it with concern in your voice, it becomes a genuine question about someone's well-being.
That's such an important point. And remember, listeners, it's perfectly fine to be honest but brief. If you're not having a great day, you can say, oh, hanging in there, or been better, but I'll survive.
You know what's another really common greeting that I love? What have you been up to lately?
Oh, that's such a great one. It's like saying, tell me about your life in a casual way.
Exactly. And unlike how's it going, This one actually invites a more detailed response.
Right. When someone asks you what you've been up to, they're genuinely interested in hearing about your recent activities.
Let me give our listeners an example. If a friend asks me, "What have you been up to?" I might say something like, "Oh, I've been really into gardening lately. Just started growing my own herbs."
That's perfect. And then it naturally opens up the conversation for follow-up questions.
Definitely. Though sometimes people might feel stuck about how to respond if they think they haven't been doing anything exciting.
That's a great point. But remember, listeners, everyday activities are perfectly valid responses. You could say, "Oh, just working and trying to catch up on some TV shows."
Or, "Not much, really. Just the usual routine. How about you?"
Yes. And here's something important to remember. This phrase often comes up when you haven't seen someone for a while.
Absolutely. It's like a bridge to reconnect. You might run into an old friend at the grocery store. "Hey, long time no see. What have you been up to?"
And the beauty of this phrase is that it can lead to such interesting conversations. Maybe you mention you've started learning to cook.
And suddenly you're sharing recipes and cooking tips. It's these little details that make conversations feel natural and engaging.
I also love how this phrase shows genuine interest in the other person's life. It's more personal than just, "How are you?"
Definitely. Though remember, context matters. You probably wouldn't ask your boss, "What have you been up to?" first thing Monday morning.
Good point. This is more for casual situations with friends, family, or colleagues you have a friendly relationship with. Now, let's talk about something that makes conversations flow really smoothly. Response phrases like "same here" and "me too."
These little phrases are absolute gold when it comes to showing agreement and building connection in conversations.
Exactly. Like if someone says, "I'm so tired today," but you might respond with "same here." It shows you're relating to their experience.
And it's much more natural than saying, "I am also tired," or "I feel tired as well."
You know what I love about these phrases? They're super versatile. You can use them for both positive and negative situations.
Right, like, "I'm so excited about the weekend." "Me too." Or, "Ugh, this weather's driving me crazy." "Same here."
And don't forget about variations like, "tell me about it," or "I hear you."
Those are great additions. Though be careful with "tell me about it." It's actually not asking for more information, it's just strongly agreeing.
That's such an important point. Some of our listeners might think it's a question, but it's really just saying, "I completely understand."
Let's give some examples of how these work in a natural conversation. "This traffic is terrible today."
"Oh my gosh, same here. I was stuck for ages."
See how that flows? You can also stack these phrases. "Me too. Tell me about it."
Just be careful not to overuse them. You don't want every response to be "same here."
Good point. Sometimes you want to add a bit more information. "Same here. I've been stuck in meetings all day."
And here's another tip. These phrases work best when you genuinely share the experience or feeling. Don't say "me too" if you can't relate.
Absolutely. Authenticity is key in English conversations. It's better to say something like, "Oh, that sounds tough," if you can't directly relate.
Let's move on to something we all use every day but might not think much about. Greetings that change depending on the time of day.
Oh yes. These are so important because using the wrong one can feel really awkward. Like saying, "Good morning" at 8 p.m.
Exactly. Let's break it down. We've got good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Pretty straightforward, right?
Well, yes and no. The tricky part is knowing exactly when to switch from one to another. When does morning become afternoon?
Generally, good morning works from when you wake up until noon. After 12 p.m., you switch to good afternoon.
And good evening typically starts around 6 p.m. or when it starts getting dark. But here's where it gets interesting. We rarely say good night as a greeting.
That's right. Good night is usually reserved for when you're saying goodbye or heading to bed.
And then we have the informal versions. Instead of good morning, you might just say morning.
I do that all the time. It's perfectly acceptable in casual situations, like greeting your coworkers or friends.
You know what's interesting? In formal situations, like business meetings or with clients, it's better to stick with the full good morning/afternoon/evening.
And here's a fun cultural note. In some English-speaking countries, people might skip the time-specific greeting altogether and just say hi or hello.
That's so true. I've noticed that in more casual workplaces, people rarely use time-specific greetings unless it's early morning.
And let's not forget about evening or evening. Dropping the good makes it sound more casual and friendly.
Just remember, these time-based greetings are usually used for the first time you see someone that day. You wouldn't say good afternoon to the same person multiple times.
Unless you're being sarcastic, of course. Like when someone finally shows up to a meeting super late.
Oh, we've all been there. But maybe we shouldn't encourage our listeners to use sarcastic greetings just yet.
All right, Adrian, let's put everything we've learned today into practice with a little role play. Ready to show our listeners how these greetings flow in real conversation?
Absolutely. Let's make it feel natural. I'll start. Hey there, Sophia. How's it going?
Oh, hey, Adrian. I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for asking. What have you been up to lately?
You won't believe it. I've been learning to bake. Made my first sourdough bread yesterday.
No way. I've been thinking about getting into baking too.
Same here. I mean, before I actually started. It's way harder than those cooking shows make it look.
I can imagine. Hey, speaking of cooking shows, have you been watching that new baking competition everyone's talking about?
The one with the celebrity judges? Yeah, I'm hooked. Been binge watching it all week.
Me too. That episode where the cake collapsed was intense.
Tell me about it. By the way, how's that language exchange meetup going? Haven't heard you mention it in a while.
It's going great, actually. We met up just yesterday evening. Everyone's making such amazing progress.
That's awesome to hear. Well, I should probably get going. Got another bread to bake?
Good luck with that. Catch you later.
Thanks. See you around.
Wow, what a fun-packed episode we've had today. We've covered so many useful, everyday English greetings.
Absolutely. Let's do a quick recap of what we learned. We started with those casual greetings like, hey there, and what's up?
And don't forget all those variations of, how's it going? Such a versatile phrase.
I loved how we explored, what have you been up to lately? It's such a great way to start meaningful conversations.
And those response phrases like, same here, and me too, they're absolute gold for keeping conversations flowing naturally.
Remember, listeners, the key is to practice these phrases in real-life situations. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's all part of climbing the language ladder.
Exactly. And speaking of climbing that ladder, next week we've got another exciting episode coming up about ordering food at restaurants.
Oh, that's going to be delicious. I mean, educational.
Until then, keep practicing these greetings with friends, family, or even in front of your mirror.
And remember, every conversation is a new opportunity to learn and grow.
This has been Tales and Talks, Climbing the Language Ladder. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Adrian. Keep climbing, everyone. See you next time.
See you next time.